Welcome back to Movies TV Man, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DCU Daily. On today's show, something a little bit different. I'm playing two audios from two videos. One where a guy called, I forgot his name, I think it's Michael Francesa, absolutely destroys James Gunn's Superman. It's about an 8-minute long video. And then another audio from another video with a box office breakdown. It's important for this channel to listen to different voices, not just mine. And because of that, this video will be a little bit longer. It could go to 30 minutes, but please watch every single second. Please like, share, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Because if you're as angry with James Gunn, the DCU, and this fucking Superman monstrosity as I am, you're going to want to follow my DC journey. Because I'm going to say something now that's not going to go down very well, and it could get me attacked on every single platform, and I couldn't give a shit. If you want to come after me, Movies TV Mad on Twitter, Movies TV Mad X on Instagram, etc., etc. But I'm going to say something that's going to upset you. My new mission is to destroy the reputation of this Superman movie. Because this Superman movie is a calamity and a monstrosity. It's a disgrace. And I'm going to make it my mission in life to destroy this movie and to destroy the DCU. Why? Not because I dislike James Gunn. I don't dislike James Gunn. I can't dislike or like someone I don't know fucking personally. So let's get that straight. As a DC fan, as someone that grew up around the entertainment industry, I am disgusted with the creative bankruptcy, far-left extremism in the industry today, and it fucking stops now. So my mission in life is to destroy this movie and to destroy the DCU. I don't want to see a Supergirl film where this girl is a kind of drunken sorority queen, calling her cousin Superman a bitch. I loved the Helen Slater Supergirl. Say what you like about the lack of quality of that film, at least she feels like someone that could come from Krypton. She has a pure heart. Slater plays her beautifully. They got Millie Alcock, who had such a promising career before she got involved with this fucking sludge. Why, Millie? Why did you get involved with this fucking movie? You must now know that you're fucking cooked. You're going to cook your career. I have a Superman script ready, as you all know. It involves Manchester Black, the Elite, and John Corbin's Metallo as the villains. I have a costume designer friend. I've already got her to design the very first ever Superman #1 costume for a flashback in my script where Superman is in the Second World War. My love interest is Wonder Woman Diana Prince. She will show up in those flashbacks during the Second World War. Lois Lane will be involved, but she won't be a love interest, probably an ex-girlfriend of Clark's and Superman. This movie is a period piece. It's set in the 80s, predominantly because I think after the evidence of the past 3 movies that Superman simply doesn't work in the modern era. It will be set in the 80s because I wanted to set it in the past where print journalism was relevant. Print journalism is no longer relevant. So when you see the Daily Planet in a modern Superman movie, you're thinking, what the fuck is the point of view? What you're doing isn't actually important because the journalism, we're the journalists now. There's no real fucking journalists and everyone's just promoting their own propaganda and side of the argument. We don't even have journalism, so that's why I wanted to set my movie in the 80s where print is very, very relevant. My Jimmy Olsen is on his first day, and I wanted to make the Daily Planet the most famous newspaper in the world. Working there is a fucking privilege. You have to be good to work there. So basically, in a way, it's a kind of Jimmy Olsen point of view story as well. It's this young school leaver arriving at the most famous newspaper in the world on his first day. He's shy, he's scared, and he creates this beautiful bond with Clark Kent. Then, within the movie, he finds out who Clark is, and he has this, you know, little brother, big sister relationship with Lois, as he should. He's not a babe fucking magnet like in this monstrosity of a film. And Perry White, we see Perry White, by the way, we see Perry White in flashbacks as well, when he was just a journalist. Perry White's a great character if you flesh him out properly. So my Perry will have, you know, lots of interesting facets. The film puts Superman's no-kill policy on trial because I wrote this script after Man of Steel in a discourse about Superman killing Zod. So I wanted to make a statement. So kind of the debate in the film is a bit like what we had on the internet. Some people saying Superman should never kill, some people saying it's okay if he kills now and again, and some people believing he should always kill. This is the kind of debate they had in the animated movie Superman versus the Elite. The villain siding on the, you know, on the side of Superman having to kill and trying to fool Superman via pushing narratives to the press. In my film, we even get to a point where they're saying Manchester Black for Manchester Black for president. And he murders John Corbin and makes him Metallo. My Metallo has no control in what he's doing. He was Clark Kent's best friend. And, you know, the world is pressuring Superman to murder his best friend. We flash back to the Second World War, where the Allies are pressuring Superman to kill Hitler and the Nazis, and Superman finds himself under pressure for refusing to do so. But yeah, the love stories between Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, and Superman, because I'm so bored of the relationship, the romance of Lois, Clark, and Superman. It's been done so well. It's been done to death. And watching this brand new Superman film, I felt this is becoming a little bit old hat. Anyway, right, let's get to these very, very funny audios spraying truth bombs about this horrible movie. So this is hilarious. So this is from Mike Francesa. I don't know who he is, but his review for this movie is fucking hilarious. So let's go.
What I'm getting into is this stunk as for someone who's a old-time TV show Superman guy trying to get entertained for a couple hours and wants to see Superman. This movie was pure torture to sit through. Torture. I mean, I'll tell you this. If my name was on the critics, I'd hide it. That's how bad it was. This was 2 hours of this new Superman. It wasn't decent. He wasn't Christopher Reeve, but he was okay Superman. 2 hours of him getting the crap beat out of him. Who wants to see Superman get beat up for 2 hours? He's getting beat up by everybody. Plus, you have other superheroes in the movie. I didn't go there to see some guy named Mr. Terrific. I didn't go there to see the Green Lantern or some lady named Hawk something or other. I don't even know who she was. Okay, these other superheroes who he calls on. Who are these other superheroes? This is a Superman movie. You want to see Superman flirt with Lois Lane, keep its disguise, and battle crime. That's what you want to see. And good triumph over evil. That's Superman. A little tongue-in-cheek, a little cartoonish, a little campy. Okay, this was unmitigated garbage. First of all, early on, there's robots. I don't want robots. Okay, I don't want robots taking care of Superman. I don't. Then there's a super dog. Who came up with a super dog? I mean, we all like dogs, okay? And I didn't like the dog getting beat on in the movie. It bothered me. But hey, who came up with a dog with a cape? When did that arrive? I watched Superman for years on television. I never saw a dog with a cape. I never saw robots. And in this movie, Superman's in trouble. Lex Luthor's getting the best of him. Everybody in the movie is beating the heck out of him. I thought Jimmy Olsen was going to take a shot at him. I thought Lois Lane was going to throw him out a window. I mean, he got beat up by everybody. He got the absolute Jesus. If you want to go see Superman get beat up for 2 hours, he got beat up for 2 hours. This is Superman. And this had nothing to do with Superman. It had to do with superheroes. It had to do with a war in the Middle East. It had to do with a crazy Lex Luthor. And in the end, Lois Lane is trying to save him by going into the inner earth and a different layer of being with Mr. Terrific, whoever the hell he is. And she is driving a spaceship off the Daily Planet. Now, wait a second. Lois Lane's supposed to be falling off a building and being caught by Superman. This is not made for Lois Lane to be driving a spaceship to save Superman. I'm like, what the heck am I watching here? The dog was a bigger hero than Superman was. Lois Lane was a much bigger hero, and Jimmy Olsen, who used to be an 18-year-old cub reporter with a brownie camera, he's basically dissing supermodels every weekend. And, and has babes galore and is basically stealing the movie. Jimmy Olsen. And there are scenes, I'm telling you, Superman's in trouble. So what you have is Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and Lois Lane going to the roof of the Daily Planet and getting in a spaceship and taking off to save Superman. I mean, give me a break. I had enough right there. You got a super girl cousin who shows up in a cape and she's stoned, okay, late in the movie, so they're setting her up for another movie. Look for some girl super movie coming out, and they basically alluded to the fact that she's always getting high, okay? You got the dog, who, like I said, is one of the big heroes in this movie. This movie is so bad that if you ask me to go sit through it again, I would want major cash before I could do it, okay? It was pure torture. It was 2 hours of pain. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. And it had nothing, at least the movies. And listen, I know the Superman movies weren't great. They made a bundle. Okay? Superman is always going to make money. He's one of the great iconic figures in American entertainment. It's a cash cow. He's always going to make money. You can put him anywhere. You can do Smallville. You can do Lois and Clark. You can make awful stuff, and you put Superman in it, and they're going to go watch it. And this got pumped to the moon. But when I tell you this thing was bad, I'm telling you, really, I was thinking about inflicting pain to myself just to keep myself awake. That's how bad it was. This movie was dreadful. And I have seen people glowing in their reviews, and I'm saying, what are you watching? How can this possibly? You got monsters in the movie. You got robots in the movie. You got other superheroes in the movie. You got a damn dog with a cape on. What are you talking about? You got Lois Lane driving a spaceship. What the hell does that have to do with Superman? Superman was, Lois gets in trouble investigating a story. She winks at Superman a couple of times. You got the innuendo that they'd like to, have a little extended relationship. That's fine. That's all tongue-in-cheek. It was tongue-in-cheek in the movies back in the 70s. Fine, okay? Little campy, little cartoonish. This was a disaster. Before you get into all the Middle East innuendos, all right, you got people claiming it's anti-Semitic. I mean, hey, I'm not getting into the political ramifications of it. Are there political ramifications and innuendos? Yes. Forget that. This is just awful. I mean, I actually think the people who wrote this must have been on some kind of hallucinogen before they decided that this was a rap and this was what they were going to go with. The creative consultants and the writers in this thing must have all been absolutely rocked before they made this thing. That's how bad it was. I can't tell you. Even Harrison, who loves all this stuff, who goes to every Marvel movie there is, goes to every superhero, goes to every Fast and Furious, goes to every one of these awful movies that I can't stand. I've been going to movies with him since he was 2 years old. I used to go with Jack and Emily and Harrison. What I used to do was take them all to the movies to give their mother a break, okay? I would sit, I'd get them whatever they wanted, their popcorn or whatever they wanted. They would sit inside me. I'd sit on the aisle seat, put my feet up. There'd be hardly anybody in the theater, and I'd go to sleep for 2 hours while they watched the movie, whatever it was. Whatever crazy, superhero or comic book hero or whatever it was. Who cares? You know, or any one of those wacky movies we saw through the years. The bottom line is this is terrible, and I cannot understand anybody thinking this was a good movie. In any way, it was awful. I'm not even going to debate with someone who liked this, but I admit, I'm not a sci-fi guy. Okay? And the movies that some people will reference in terms of comparing it to, I probably haven't seen because I don't go to the movies if it's a sci-fi movie. But this was a bad sci-fi movie and an insult to the Superman tradition, to the Superman legend. As someone who used to watch him on Channel 11 on Saturday morning, this was an affront to my senses. What I'm getting...
Now, clearly, Mike is an older dude and doesn't really like this stuff. But a lot of what he said was fact. Clearly, he's never read a comic book. He doesn't know in the Silver Age that the robots were there a lot. Listen, we had robots in Man of Steel, but they were used briefly. And really, they weren't really helping Superman or healing Superman, but they were there. It's good to show these things from the Silver Age. That's cool. I'm not a fan of the Silver Age. I prefer the Golden Age if you really press me on a preference, right? But a lot of the stuff that Mike said there was true. And this is just an old dude who clearly doesn't like modern movies or these types of movies, but he hated it. He absolutely hated this movie, and it was just hilarious to listen to the guy rant about it. Now here's some box office analysis from someone else.
Well, y'all, Superman has officially flopped at the box office, okay? So the numbers have come out. This movie opened at $213 million worldwide, okay? With a budget of $225 million and a marketing budget between $200 million, sorry. This movie's budget overall is over $300 million, and Superman's one of the biggest fictional characters ever, and it only got $213 million opening weekend. Thor: Love and Thunder made over $300 million in the opening weekend that movie dropped with garbage reviews. And the reason why this movie is already done is because you know next weekend that drop-off is going to be at least 40 to 50% if they're lucky. This movie isn't good enough like a Sinners or a Top Gun Maverick to have legs. Plus Fantastic Four dropping in 2 weeks, that's going to shift all the conversation. This movie is done. I told you guys months in advance that this movie was going to flop. How can you have a $300 million budget and one of the biggest superheroes ever and only get $213 million globally? And that's not the factor in. This is including the Amazon's Prime screenings and IMAX theaters that were in 70% of American theaters on Tuesday, the previews on Thursday, the opening weekend of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, worldwide, and you could only get $200 million. Really? And that's going to be a success. And the funny thing is, do you remember those people who were trying to say this movie was going to hit $1 billion? Are you insane? Superhero fatigue is real. The genre is dying because of garbage movies like Superman and other movies that have come out. You have to start acknowledging these things. All of the paid shows and the paid reviewers who go out there and they're not paid directly, but they get sponsorships and ads and memorabilia and merchandise, and they get interviews with cast and crew, so it gets them more views and more money, and same with the company. This is how this stuff is formulated. They tell you everything is awesome, everything is great and it's perfect, and then the numbers come out and you're like, well, why did nobody watch it? And the reason why is because the movie is not as good as they tell you it is. This movie may not even get to 500 or 600 million, which would be an absolute disaster for Warner Bros. Financially and a disaster overall for fans of DC just in general. Thank you guys for watching and thank you for being...
This is the truth, my friends, because it was even funny. We spoke about how it was the cope was real over the weekend and it was more entertaining than watching Gunn's sludgefest of a Beta Man. It's not Superman, it's Beta Man, right? Because Gunn wasn't interested in the super part of Superman. Make fucking sense. So to attempt to make him relevant, to create relevance for the whole movie, as Mike was saying in his roast of the movie, the guy's getting beaten up from minute 1 to minute fucking last. Lois Lane is going to save him. Lois Lane is more of a hero in this movie than fucking Superman. When you've got a male feminist writer-director, this is the situation. And this is why I'm making it my mission in life, not only to destroy this movie, but to destroy the DCU and just bring in new creatives. Because it's not just about this movie or the DCU, it's about new Hollywood. And English-speaking Western entertainment must be taken down. And I don't have a lot of influence, but I'm going to use my little teeny bit of influence with people to try and destroy New Hollywood. They're already cooked. They're already on their knees. We need people who are graduating from film school and, you know, performing arts schools, right? We need to train our talent at studios. We need to go back to the 30s where they were looking after young artists. They were promoting young artists and signing them up exclusively to their studios like MGM did with Judy Garland. This industry is fucking cooked. And this movie is fucking cooked. Internationally, this movie is flopping harder than any flop I've ever seen. Now, domestically, it's not flopping as hard. Now, the simps and the wishful thinkers are claiming that Superman could make 300 to 350 million domestically by the end of its run. But even if that wishful thinking comes true, and that's very hard to believe, but hey, I digress. Because the international numbers are so bad, it won't get anywhere near Man of Steel's 670 million. Let me explain to you how Man of Steel worked out. They staggered the global release. So if you see that Superman had a higher box office globally than Man of Steel, that's because Superman released its movie all around the world in every country at the same time. Now, Man of Steel staggered their release. They still had about 20 countries to release it in when it was released in North America and other countries. So if you add up the total global Man of Steel, it would shit all over Superman, without question. But Man of Steel wasn't that strong domestically, but it was stronger internationally. It was Man of Steel's international box office that brought it forward to 670 million. Now, what they're hoping for now, because the international is so weak, is that the McDonald's chomping domestic audience go and keep on watching this movie and hoping it can creep to 500 million. But it isn't going to get anywhere near the 670 that Man of Steel amassed. This movie is a flop. As the young man said on that audio that I just played, this is a Superman movie. And Superman movies should be making an opening to a lot more than it did. But this movie never stood a chance because of its lack of quality. It's just a bad movie. It's a movie with things happening, and that's that. There's no depth. It's just thrown at you, and it's cut down to a mere 1 hour 59 minutes so it can get as many views as possible. Why? I'll explain to you why they cut 20 to 30 minutes out. Because they knew this movie was so bad that making it longer meant less viewings. So they wanted, like Justice League, to get as many people through the gate as possible. And even though Justice League flopped, because the expenditure of that film was huge, it did amass 650 million, which was quite good for a horrible recycled movie like Justice League. So that worked. Could it be that a Superman movie could make less than the calamity that was Justice League? That would be fucking insane.